as a party committed to democratic governance, constitutionalism, and the rule of law, the United Democratic Party believes that the Gambian people deserve full clarity on the development surrounding all our developments and its implications to the Constitution. On that note, I'd like to say once more that you're welcome, and we will kick off this press conference or press briefing once our party is settled.
Thank you very much, gentlemen of the press. And let me apologize, because I had thought that the Honorable Minority Leader and Honorable Member for Badbu Central, I thought they were still in the National Assembly, so I was waiting for them, not knowing that they were here, because this occasion is one that calls for their presence, as they were among the principal actors in the National Assembly yesterday. So my apologies for coming late. But gentlemen of the press, and indeed through you, I come before all Gambians, and this should not be a surprise. This moment is not just about the failure of a bill in our National Assembly. It is about something far deeper, a troubling pattern of failed leadership and betrayed public promises. I speak to you not as the leader of a political party, but as a fellow citizen, one who, like you, has witnessed our nation's long, painful journey towards justice, accountability, and democracy. The 2024 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia Promulgation Bill, introduced by President Adama Barrow, has officially failed in Parliament. But this is not the first time that our nation's hope for constitutional reform has been crushed under his administration. Let us remember clearly, in 2020, the Gambian people were presented with the most inclusive, transparent, and consultative constitutional process in our history. The CRC went to every corner of this country to listen to you, the people. That draft was born from your voices, your stories, your struggles. It was a people's draft, written not in isolation, but in collaboration with the citizens, experts, and civil society. Yet, it was President Adama Barrow and his government who both openly and behind the scenes led the campaign to sabotage that people-centered draft. They withdrew their support. They lobbied against it. And when the time came, their allies in Parliament killed it. The UDP and their progressive voice and other progressive voices stood in full support of the 2020 CRC draft, but we were derailed by those who pledged loyalty to a man above duty to a nation. Let us be honest, those who now champion President Barrow's 2024 draft constitution showed no such urgency when the real people's draft was before us. Had they fought then with the same intensity they fight with now, the CRC draft might have become our constitution. But they didn't, and we must ask ourselves, why now? Why this draft? The answer is clear. This is not about the people, it is about power. Now, 4 years later, the same administration that destroyed the people's draft returned with a new document drafted behind closed doors without public consultation and designed to serve one man's political interest, not the national interest. And when this bill reached Parliament, it was the opposition parties who stood firm, who said no to exclusion, no to manipulation, and no to self-serving government. We did not reject reform. We rejected a process that bypassed the people and undermined our democracy. Let us call this what it is: betrayal repeated. First, they rejected the constitution written by the people. Then, they tried to impose one written for themselves. Time and time, the National Assembly members under the NPP and their allies have proven themselves unreliable. They make promises they do not keep. They shake hands in public only to break trust in private. Their loyalty is not to the nation, but to political survival. No negotiation can survive beyond the second reading, not when it rests on their word. Let us now forget that it was the UDP that tabled a bill to repeal. Let us not forget that it was the UDP that tabled a bill to repeal the repressive and repressive Public Order Act as a colonial relic used for decades to silence dissent and criminalize assembly. It was the NPP, NAMS, and their allies who rejected it. That moment made one truth abundantly clear, that we stand for liberty and they stand in this way. The failure of the 2024 Constitution Promulgation Bill is not merely a legislative defeat for President Adama Barrow. It is a national indictment of his hypocrisy, his broken promises, and his disregard for democratic values. To those who argue that a flawed 2024 Barrow draft is better to remain stuck with the Jammeh-era 1997 Constitution, I understand the temptation to settle for what seems like the lesser of the two evils. That may be political expedient, but it is not right. A constitution is the most important legal and moral compass of a nation. It defines who we are and what we aspire to become as a nation in the community of nations. We cannot accept a process where a president unilaterally discards a draft that reflected the collective will of the Gambian people, only to replace it with a document crafted behind closed doors by himself and his allies. The United Democratic Party remains unwavering in its conviction that constitutional reform must be people-led, transparent, and inclusive. No shortcuts, no secret drafting, no manipulations. We have not forgotten the price paid to arrive at this juncture. Many have sacrificed. Some, like Solo Sanden, gave their lives so we could dream of a new Gambia. A Gambia built on justice, rule of law, and dignity for everyone. Some, like Kaniba Kanye, have been disappeared so that we can have a Gambia whose citizens live in dignity. This is the Gambia that the United Democratic Party has always wanted. And this is the Gambia for which these people have sacrificed their lives. The Gambia that we all aspire to starts with the solid grounding in a constitution that reflects the aspirations of the people. And such a constitution, one can only be attained through widespread consultations with those who matter most. We, the people. The Barrow draft neglected that most basic but but fundamental first step, and for that we stand opposed to him in his desire to impose his will on the people. We did not fight for change, just to watch it hijacked by those who now seek to entrench themselves in power. Let us be clear, President Barrow and his had his chance in 2020 to lead the Gambia into a new constitutional era. He squandered it. This second attempt was not a correction. It was a confirmation of his intent to write our future in his own image, without our voice and without our consent. The Gambians deserve better. We must now return to the path we abandoned in 2020, the path of participatory democracy, genuine national dialogue, and constitutional legitimacy. The UDP stands ready to work with all democratic forces to revive the CRC draft with necessary updates where needed at the level of the National Assembly. Yes, always grounded in the consultation and the consensus. To the Gambian people, we say this is not the end, this is a new beginning. Let us rise, not in despair, but with renewed determination. Let us reclaim the reform agenda. Let us defend our democracy. And let us work together to build a constitution that reflects our shared hopes, our deepest values, and the future of our children deserves. I want to thank you for your kind attention, and this is the statement that the United Democratic Party wishes to make on the design failure of the draft constitution, a failure that was designed by President Adama Barrow, because he knew all along that bringing another document to the National Assembly for discussion without really proper consultation, they knew that that would fail. If the draft, 2020 draft, had been brought to the National Assembly, it would have gone to a third reading, and when it goes to a third reading, it would have got the required constitutional votes to make to subject to a referendum. But because he didn't want a constitution, he can go on draft one privately with his cabinet and think that they can impose that on the Gambian people. UDP resists any imposition on the people of the Gambia. UDP believes that any law, particularly the Constitution, the most basic and fundamental law, cannot be an imposition on the people. It must be one that comes out of the free will of the Gambian people. And we say that the Gambian people's constitution is what resonates with us, and that is what we have always stood for, and we will continue to stand for that. For several years since 1996, we have given our lives, we have given our assets, our properties, everything we have done so that this country gets a constitution that the Gambian people deserve. We cannot allow President Adama Barrow and his APRC allies to impose on the Gambian people a constitution that we do not deserve. And I want to say that the United Democratic Party does not feel apologetic about the votes that took place in the National Assembly yesterday. It was one that is expected. And if anything happened other than that, we would feel that our National Assembly members have indeed betrayed the Gambian people. And Honorable Minority Leader, Chief Whip, I'd like to congratulate all of you, as well as the North Alliance and the Honorable Member for Janjambure, for really standing with the Gambian people, for really supporting the Gambian people's project and rejecting Adama Barrow's personal project And and of course the honorable, North Alliance, and the honorable member for Banjul South, who has always been a very prominent advocate for good constitution for this country, who has always been a prominent advocate of whittling executive powers and entrusting the people's representatives with the necessary mandate to make sure that their oversight functions are performed properly and effectively. And the tool to do so is a constitution which really vests power in them to effectively oversee the executive and all other institutions whose activities are subjected to their oversight function. I thank you, and thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you very much for the Secretary General. At this juncture, we will take a few questions and ask the journalists to introduce themselves, the generals to represent, and state their questions. But we will also appeal that the questions are based on the issues of the Constitution and the position of the party, and let us keep it within those confines and limits. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darboe from the thank you for the information. My question is considering the economic country.
Considering?
My question is considering the hardship that governments are facing. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars being invested within 5 years for Ousainu the democracy that the coalition government in 2017. Now we are approaching the 2026 presidential election, which is also a election, which means that as a stand we are proceeding with the 1997 constitution, which means single majority to be one more defense and make the incumbent the president again. What is UDP going to ensure that? Hence, you will have this government moving forward, moving a bit more force that is going to change the government from 2026. And also, what is your stand on people saying that the parliament should have allowed the bill to pass so that it can be given a chance for the public to have their say?
Your first question, let me preface it with that, and in fact that will lead to answer for the second question. I'm sure if you follow the deliberations in National Assembly, you will not have missed the intervention of the Honorable Member for Woodley East. He did say that the coalition government, or the coalition then, were really having as a campaign agenda a new constitution, and that the age limit should be removed. So you have that. And that was the campaign promises that was taken to the Gambian people. Elect us as leaders of government. Elect President Barrow as the president of this country, and this 1997 constitution, we will do away with it. That was the electoral promise. That has not been adhered to, or that has not been fulfilled. So that is betrayal of the Gambian people. This betrayed his promise to the Gambian people. Now, what we do so that you can defeat President Barrow, I think it's a question for the Gambian people. Are you willing to be guided, or to be guided by the 1997 Constitution? Are you willing to continue living under a government that is corrupt? Are you willing to continue living under a government that is insensitive to your problems? Are you willing to live on a government that just gives false promises and does not really fulfill them? It is for you Gambian people. And we have to really work together. Forget about the personalities of any political leader and focus on the things that matter to us. And what matters is a government that really keeps its promises, a leader that keeps the promises, a leader that is willing to fight corruption, a leader that is prepared to bring in a lean government. You don't want to have too big government, and you do not want to have a president that is too powerful. After all, we are complaining about the 1997 constitution because too much power is vested in the executive. And this is what Barrow wants in his 2024 draft. And we are saying in 2020 draft, no, the executive must be bridled. You can exercise executive power, but there should be limitations. And the trend now is really to have executive control. They complain that, yes, you don't even want to give the president the power to dismiss or to remove from office Inspector General of Police. Yes, it is very important because police, we have seen here how the security forces have been used in suppressing political opponents in this country. Even currently, they're doing it. They pick you up on a Friday, and then you spend Saturday, spend Sunday. They say that you cannot have access to the courts. So we cannot take you before the court within 72 hours. And they continue doing that. And you want us to retain such a government? Because the Inspector General of Police position, is so critical in our African politics. So you want to give him absolute immunity, absolute protection. You want to ensure that his office, branch office, is independent. He can take decisions that are not informed by political considerations. But they are saying, no, he should be removed. You want to appoint a minister, and you say it cannot be, the National Assembly should not really investigate that person, whether he is fit to be appointed as a minister. And that is unthinkable in modern democracies. Go to Ghana. Go to Nigeria. That's why I think Nigeria thinks about 6 months before the cabinet is formed, because the ministers are subjected to National Assembly, to Senate scrutiny. In Ghana, they are subjected to National Assembly scrutiny. So that you don't bring in, a drug dealer to have him as your Minister of Interior, under whom the Drug Law Enforcement Agency is placed. You want to put competent people there. You don't want to really take a lawyer and make him Minister of Health, because you have questioned the competence of the person in that ministry. So what can be done, because there is this simple majority, is that all of us must get together. We must come together and vote out this government. That is the answer. And this is what we are appealing to all of you. I'm appealing to all of you to give your vote to the United Democratic candidate that will be nominated for the 2026 presidential elections. And we have the pedigree. We have shown the whole world who we are and what we are. Since 1996, we have not retreated. We have been always pushing forward to push up the national agenda. That's what we have always been doing. There is nobody in this country who doubts the United Democratic stand on all the major issues, on corruption, on excessive use of executive powers, on parliamentary dormancy. You have our positions have been made clear on all these things. So it will be left for you Gambian people now to decide that, look, yes, the United Democratic Party has spoken to us for quite a long time. We will not make the mistake of rejecting them again. Now, the second question, progress to the National Assembly. Of course, that is what the people are saying. But why didn't they say in 2020 that Barrow and his people should have allowed that constitution to proceed to the consideration stage and ultimately to the third reading? They are not asking that question. Why are they asking of it now? Why now? Why not then? If we are seriously concerned, and we all agree that that 2020 draft is a people-centered constitution. That is the constitution that reflects the aspirations of the Gambian people. Consultations between the Gambia and outside the Gambia was carried out. If Barrow wanted a constitution, he would have told his people, please, let this pass. In September of 2020, when he had made the State of the Nations, he would have addressed National Assembly members and appealed to all of them and said, please, this draft is coming before you. I ask every member of this assembly to vote for it. On the day the bill was introduced, I went on radio to ask all members of the National Assembly to vote for it. If Barrow had done the same thing, it would have gone for a the second would have passed, go to consideration stage, and today we would have had that constitution. Today we would have been a third republic. So those who are saying that, I ask them, why did they do that? Why did they not do that? Now is the time that those observations can be made. And even if this is the current situation, when that draft was rejected, those who really wanted to have a good constitution, I think the concerted effort should be to bring pressure on President Adama Barrow and his people to bring back the 2020 draft. That is what all those who are genuinely concerned, who genuinely want to have a good constitution for the Gambia, that should have been their approach. That should have been their efforts. And not to say, I have great respect for all of them, but I think the pressure and the approaches that were made to me and my party for the 2024 draft, if the same approaches were made to Barrow to bring back the 2020 draft, they would have succeeded, because all of us would have been able to get them. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you very much. We'll take questions from all the journalists if anybody wants to ask a question. Just a reminder that we keep the questions in the confines of the discussion and what as well as yeah.
Just a quick one. So many Gambians believe that the 2024 draft is an agenda of the 1997 Constitution, which has the sole power on the executive. Are you not concerned as a opposition that we are going to the election using the Constitution that has the sole powers in the incumbent, and we know how campaigns are being run based on the last one? What do you understand? And the third thing is that, assuming that the United Democratic Party is the winner of the 2026 presidential election, what is going to be your key priority areas to ensure that you restore what we call endemic corruption in the system?
What is the replica of the 1997 Constitution?
As many people believe that the 2024 draft is a replica of the 1997. Are you concerned as an opposition that we are going into election using the same constitution that people have been carrying over for decades?
Well, we have been going to elections since 1996. We have been operating under that constitution, and certainly we have made the best use of it. And where one feels that provisions of that constitution have been applied in a way that are detrimental to your interests, steps are taken. You, United Democratic Party, of course, whenever we feel that government is doing anything under that constitution or under any law that does not cohere, with the national interest and our interest, we always go to court. We always go to court. And that is what we'll continue to do. And indeed, when we come in, there are a lot of things to be done, but one of the most important agenda would be the constitutional reform. We will have the constitution brought back to the National Assembly with, and I tell you this, with the retroactive clause in it. We'll have it, we'll leave it there, and we'll urge members of the National Assembly to vote for it, so that the incumbent president then, because we say UDP government, the incumbent president then, his term begins with that year, so that he doesn't go for another 2 terms. That is the promise we give to the Gambian people. We want to have that retroactive clause. We'll have it there to show that we are not interested in clinging to power, that we are not self-perpetuating personalities, or that the president who is elected at the time and who is present at the date of the coming to force of the Constitution will show to the whole world that I am not a president who is self-perpetuating. This time that you have elected me from 2026 to 2031, I accept that as my first term. If you go, we are going to a third republic. And the other term will be my second term. So that what they are running away from, United Democratic Party will embrace it. You know, UDP has never condoned corruption. We have always spoken against corruption. And certainly, the laws on corruption will not only be effective, but they will be implemented. There may be a review of the Anti-Corruption Act. Certainly, there may be a review of the Anti-Corruption Act, so that to make the law effective and also to have it implemented. We will not pass a law to deal with certain situations and then not provide the mechanisms that will make the implementation of that law easy and effective. Since the anti-corruption bill was assented to on the 31st of November 2024, we still do not know who the full list of the commissioners. We still don't know. And this is July 2025. 31st January 2024. So this is not a government that is serious about corruption, and we are serious about corruption. We have always fought against it. In 1996, at Fizarro Street, I stood there and exposed the corruption of the APRC government, then the AFPRC government, which has now transformed itself to APRC. I did it. When they swindled our funds, put it in banks in Switzerland, I spoke against it. Nobody else did that in this country. I did it. And I got documents from the courts in UK, got affidavits from people in Senegal. And that shows how much we are concerned about corruption in this country. And our drive to fight corruption has not weakened. If anything, it's much stronger today than yesterday.
Thank you very much. I will take one last final question and close the meeting.
Muna sign, you sacrifice for. But you know, you can't go 1997 constitution. I don't know.
1997 constitution, among the constitution, may I don't cover for. Natra Mandora Bijada UDP Damadamaton, Yamu Banco Bela problem only. I don't kunu na diptolu, ye menke dipte bungo, ye long commentage, mata UDP, yata banco le. Luame yalam kawala nyanta banco mun na fala. Wakati atelenu banku dunkewlu kabri koy na fokato kabri bara fo pasamas CRC moni dute kanne ye jininka ye politique patiolu ye kaytol kiye e kafume ko isus nyono ye kijeto pour banko nyanta luwasi fa men sotla be nga jabiroke e tata bantala dunia Gambia bantala idi amta Gambia dingle jeto be la haklodi wala kafta nyoma CRC ya safe ya bondi ya même folo bondi ya di mola mol ya jube e ko ha ali nga jam falin ali nga nyin kafu jeto wakata amrude kan mol ko men nyanta kala yoke ina na bondi final draft kabria bondi adama barona la molu e ko wata kala ite lafta me yeke wolomu membe sembo dila president la sembe ba wa sembe ba nak Gambia dingil ko hani man lafi wala e ko president la nyanta sembo so la de bara mankal na kala sembo me ya don ka ko ita malan kunnola mole ye tombo yeke dulato oto ni tombo yeke dulato woto imanya na kele bulu fambo di kankuranti e fanke do fu ne do e be mo be libala be diade ya e be mo bolle la place on e be sila drom ya muda ya bolle diata nye ngata ngake place on kar ko ni be mo kala place on ini mo sa kacha nole isi mo sa wa ranyole kamo sa ranya kudo o manka ka bukata même foleye wala mu kuti be menkela duwa ma ko bole kala ko do asa wara nyoda do na ya ta banda bari même je me yalon ka fo ko nimbe yamu ndaw yabo nimba kala place do a dipte bunglo nyanta nga samba dipte wala ko samba dipte bunglo yala ko won enquête adu diptol fanado e nyanta jalal ka ko 70% wala kemo tan woro wala ko ta ko amulunta ka ko president bana sembo tambala barbito anin dipto le nyata katama e fokuno mamay honorable attorney general yabo ako diptol ni president le kalwa dada itela kaden kadwa dada ba wala benya what fan wala kay e gavka enacted by the president and the national assembly so ni dani lawyer diptol kallo kasi kalwa dada muna yatin na place dodo be yalon kavoko iko ni be yamu ndaw yabo kala jedo inin diptol nyata ka kajali be da todo mona nyato bay nata tilim bi jedo bare barola draft ale bukason ka ko barola bari nyama adama barola draft leti mol ka dawda jaro kana dawda jaro tonyen dawda jano mullo abokontem loya do nata ga yambula do ko do ngake ikana dawda jaro tonyen barole la draft mu nyindi men ata baroye ayole foko yoke kasembe katambata kadiala ya hani state of emergency na diata aya declare iko isita kiti ola na tra yese ya declare sinya sabanya ita kiti ola iko ko be buruka je ya kumba jaita kito kijando amandiala iko wakiti sifa ntaja weke nyimbango kan kotenke konim president moment tombong ayake dipitoji asabo dinole baye ko ni député bankol si ila dipto bondi nole or the president fana nyanda nyim bondi lale one separation of power boy fan yo le negate kafu ko executive ni national assembly ne kafu ko la ko function separately when wala yate in fact na nominated membership fang wala fang nyanta burkala kadu kay men nominate e mari men diate akole akole ke woto niaje ni 2024 draft ni a rejecta Gambian call la wolom Gambian call la luwati lafta menna adun Gambian call be ko to UDP call bole to ndal mantra amman kunkilin na fala mantra fala na fajini kan nimbe fala na fana fajini kan ko la ko kada ne begala bari ko 1997 draft ha wala bijanto kabri 1996 ni 1997 draft la bijanto adu 1997 draft mbado kunde kane nin ko kata je memman dol nyabo ntelu del UDP ni me kan jaade man nyabo ngata ki diole hanata manganya do ni ngamel saba ki dona ake peku pekule ni be sina ake peku pekule kaita de ka ko nyinde amanya na kala nyinde lu amanya na tala nyola wakka kele so bebe ngala ka wono ni 1997 constitution ni no de be jumala for 2026 abe membe na tema ama karwa kari election o tema kartani woro wala wa kartani woro wala ngokono adel Gambian ko adel mel lafta alla kan ilo nyi banko kan adeye alla ka do di UDP la candidate ola ay loi na tiale me ya non ka ko Gambian ko lafta o loi so na jabiro be kala wonde I know.